So I'm really excited to announce my new guest on Mennie Talks, Daniel Lawrence.
My name's Dan Lawrence. I'm a human performance coach and head of performance at Matchroom Boxing. Just focus on 3 to 5 things you can do every day.
Head of performance at Matchroom Boxing, works with athletes at the top of their game, world-class athletes at the top of their game. Really excited to bring him on.
What does winning the day look like? And that's kind of like the non-negotiables. And then we focus on that. So we didn't focus on the outcome, we didn't focus on 12 weeks scoring again. This comes from being a shy introvert folding towels at Virgin Active, so I didn't have to engage in conversations with people. So I've been on a process, it's been a journey.
What you'll find from this podcast is we talk about mindset, we talk about what it takes to be at the top of your game, whether you're an athlete, a sports star, or whether you're an entrepreneur. It's a fantastic listen. Let me know your feedback. Dan, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Reece. Looking forward to the conversation.
Thanks for coming on. I mean, Dan, I've touched on, I've given you a little introduction there. A lot of our viewers, well, all of our viewers would have seen the Conor Benn interview. Great uptake, great feedback back from Conor. It was great to have him on, especially me owning Dennis and Dyer Boxing Academy, so being in and around boxers as well. One thing that I took from Conor, and I think all of the feedback, is how dedicated he is to high performance.
Absolutely, yeah. I actually listened to the podcast yesterday. It was a great listen.
He doesn't leave a stone unturned. And when I was talking to him, I was drilling down, and take nothing away from Conor, but you have to have the right team, and that stems with yourself. Talk us about what you do. Tell our viewers what you do.
Yeah, so as head of performance, it's not just the training piece, that's only one part. So Conor, as you said, he's a supreme athlete, and as you know, at the precipice of the sport, the margins are so small. Yeah. And we need to really ensure that we get everything right on fight night. And it starts way before then, as you well know, 10, 12-week camp. We're just about to go back to the UK to do another camp for Eubank 2. And we cover the training, the nutrition, the recovery, the mindset, and anything that falls into making him best prepared for fight night. We just want Conor to focus on one thing, and that is getting out there when that first bell rings and being the best prepared possible to focus on the fight. So we'll do everything else in between. We'll have a cohesive team. We'll have synergy between every individual with one sole goal, and that's to help the athlete and support the athlete to win come fight night. So chefs, nutritionists, myself as head of performance, working with Tony Sims. We've got Pedro there coming over from LA, who's working with Tony as well from the boxing side. Sam from a recovery side. So we just have this team and unit, but the focus is just support. We are the support network. Conor is the main act, if you like. We're back in vocals,
And obviously we're talking about Conor, but talk to me about Performance 365, what your business, what you do in that. I mean, I know that you do work with boxers and other athletes as well. Conor's not just one of them. I mean, Josh Taylor, John Ryder, and high-end CEOs. CEO from Joe and the Juice we spoke about, you've trained and worked with. So talk us through your program.
Yeah, so broad overview, Perform 365. I've mentioned 4 pillars there already. We cover 4 pillars: training, nutrition, recovery, and mindset. It's myself. We've got a team of 14. We've got some of the best doctors, best nutritionists. Our head of performance nutritionist, Dr. James Morgan, PhD, is the head of nutrition with England Rugby. So we've got the, as we say, Avengers of high performance, 4 high-level executives who want to really optimise their health and performance, but don't want to just go around in circles or work with a personal trainer in a gym, because they're never really going to get anywhere. They just want to have this cohesive team, like Conor, like some of these athletes that you've mentioned. So we've taken these principles of professional sport and brought them into a slightly different domain. So that's what Perform 365 is. We work with high-level execs, we work with normal, everyday athletes as well. We have various different tiers to our program, and I also have consultancy work with Premier League footballers, boxers, and athletes in general.
How did you come to that? Let's talk about you as a youngster. How did you fall into the industry that you're in?
So it's nearly 20 years now, Reece, and you ask me anything other than high performance, I've not got a clue. Global affairs, or I'm not your guy. But anything performance, I've immersed myself in that. And this comes from being a shy introvert folding towels at Virgin Active, so I didn't have to engage in conversations with people. So I've been on a process, it's been a journey, and I'm still trying to refine the craft of public speaking and having conversations, but I've had that growth mindset. And I believe in every conversation like we're having now, every podcast, every book, I can learn, I can absorb. And we now know with the research, neuroplasticity, the brain can change based on what you feed it. So it goes back to Carol Dweck's research, growth versus fixed mindset. Are you fixated in your ways? Do you believe that there's no point me reading a book because I'm not going to learn, I'm not going to grow, I'm just stuck in where I'm at now? Or do you believe you've got a growth mindset and you can actually make a change. I think that's really been a big shift for me, is that I went from that shy introvert folding towels at Verdant Active, so I didn't have to talk to people. And I've been on this journey of growth. I worked with that company for a number of years. I started my own company. Originally it was Dan Lawrence Training, then it moved into Dan Lawrence Athletic Development, or Athletic Performance, many moons ago, and then it came the birth of Perform 365 7 or 8 years ago. So it's been various iterations, and even under that umbrella there's still different tiers and things that we do, but generally speaking we now work with either the highest level CEOs on the planet or the best athletes on the planet, because we've got a system that's worked for the last nearly 20 years.
And I want to talk more on the systems and the high end stuff, but what I want to drill down on before we get to that is, how did you get into business? I know that we're off camera, we've spoke a lot about personal development, working on yourself, growth mindset, but what was it that made you take that step to say, listen, this is what I'm going to do, and this is why I'm going to do it, and this is what I'm going to achieve?
Yeah, the why is important to me. It went from, as I say, learning about myself initially, and then realising, actually, I'm quite good at this. So I'm now talking like 18, 19 years ago, right, at Virgin Active. And then, working with these higher level people at the time, even then, and realising that I was getting good results. They were buying into what I was saying. I didn't know my arse from my elbow at the time, Reece, right? I had to learn, I had to study and grow, as we all do. And then it's like, okay, I might be onto something here. And then, I started progressing more, and I'd always been, it's the Daniel Priestley oversubscribed model. My whole business has been based on that, like oversubscribed. I've always had a waiting list of people. So I thought, okay, I must be half decent at this. And then I've just learned, grown, gone down different areas, like the athlete side of things. And it came a point about 8-9 years ago, I started working in London, in Marylebone at BXR. They wanted the best practitioners in the UK, and it exposed me to a slightly different demographic. So there I'm working with Middle Eastern royal families, I'm working with like real high-level executives, 9-figure exits. And at this time, they're paying me for my service. I'm a sponge. I'm learning, going back to my last point of being a growth-minded. So going back to your question of the business side of things, I'm now evolving and building my skill set around the business. And then we've now got a big team and grown that way. So I think there comes a point, and for me, the point was probably 6 years ago, Reece, where I'd read every strength and conditioning book under the sun, everything about physical preparation. And then it started changing and thinking, okay, now I need to look at this. If I'm looking to really, going back to my core values of what I truly want, my mission statement is to have global impact, to help men and women optimize their health on a global level, work with thousands of people. Well, I probably need to learn marketing. I probably need to know business. I probably need to get my name out there a little bit more. So then it was just merging that with my skill set. And then obviously the athlete side of things give me a lot of front end awareness to say, well, okay, this guy is actually someone that we trust, with our careers. So it's been an evolution. And the business side is something that, again, I'm continuing to learn, continuing to grow. We now have a team. I only took it so far by myself. And some of them said,
when was it that you realised that you needed to start bringing people in? Because talking about business, I think, when you start a business, it's about control. And you don't want to give away jobs to other people or stuff that needs to be done to other people, responsibilities to other people, because you believe no one can do it. I've started this business, so I need to do everything. But you can only start growing your business when you give opportunities away to other people. When was it that you realised that?
So when I started immersing myself in this reading, in these studies, and something I say is what got you to X level won't get you to the next level. I took it as far as I could by myself, and I was very aware of that, reading books like Who Not How by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Kennedy, Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. Like, don't tell me how to do something, find me someone who can do it. And I think you're right, it's a double-edged sword, this whole growth thing, because as a CEO, a business owner, whatever we like to call ourselves, like, we believe, like you say, we can do it better than anyone, so we keep pushing, when actually, and the double-edged sword, the other side is that we're the problem.
Not releasing it.
Exactly. So I went through the process. Look, a few terrible staff hires, definitely some B and C players. We've actually now got a really good team where we've got a thing like, if it doesn't make the boat move faster, disregard it. Everyone is now rowing in the same direction, and we're seeing really good growth. So I think it came from a lot of what I read, the people I was around as well, Reece. So again, like I said, I was a sponge. So I'm working with my mentor, Casper Bass, the founder of Joe and the Juice. Like, they're just about to unicorn, incredible business, as we know. very expensive for what it is, but anyway, kudos to him. Like, I'm learning from him. I'm coaching him, and he came to me. He had really bad shoulder issues. He loved his combat sports. He loved his boxing. Within 6 weeks, we built stability around the shoulder. He was pain free, and now he's back throwing his hands. So instantly, I had that buy-in. I went on this journey with him for a number of years, and just listening to people like that. Listening to some of these billionaires that I work with, and it's like they will give people equity in the company because the company will drive forwards, then they'll remove themselves, then they'll focus on this thing. And it's just, I'd be a fool not to listen to these people. Of course, what I do is on a much, much smaller scale, but the traits are still there and the lessons are still there for me.
So would you say to anybody that's listening that growing a business is about educating yourself?
Yeah, I think so. Educating yourself to a certain level and then having the ability to delegate. Yeah. So many people cling on for way too long, myself included.
And me.
Yeah. I think, again, it's a trait, isn't it? Because we place so much value in what we do and we believe in ourselves. And I think now it's, if someone can get the thing done to 75% of the way that I could do it, I'm good with delegating that task because it pulls me back. I'm not in the weeds. I'm now putting my energy into the big needle moving tasks that I can actually have impact on, that can drive the business forwards and can change people's lives.
Yeah. Listen, I couldn't have put it better myself. So you started the business, but then you moved to Dubai. How did that affect the business?
A great question. So I've been on a real transition, and like, if we look at this like a mountain, so I felt like I'd hit the summit of the mountain from a performance and physical preparation point of view, coaching the likes of Josh Taylor to become undisputed world champion against Jose Ramirez in May 21 in Las Vegas. Incredible moment. John Ryder, fighting Saul Canelo Alvarez in Guadalajara, Mexico in 2023, walking out in front of 60,000 screaming Mexicans. These are experiences I never thought I'd get, Reece. Like, incredible, like, with great people as well. People who buy into me, buy into my methods, and if I can help them improve by 1%, 10%, whatever they say it is, then, I know I'm in the right place. But I then realised that I'd been in that game for a long, long time. I'd hit the summit, and the summit was like, how can I work with someone who's bigger than undisputed? There is nothing higher than that.
I'm at the top.
I'm at the precipice, right? So I've done it for a long time. There was, you're all in with this, right? You speak to Connor now. Connor's like, Dan, the reason, I value you so highly is because you're all in. You don't dip your toes in. You're in at the deep end. You lead from the front, and that's probably one of my strengths. But I moved to Dubai. To your question is, look, I don't want to talk too much about the UK, the negativity, the economy, and everything going down. I've spoken before about growth mindset. I believe people in the UK, I think it's Australia or New Zealand, tall poppy syndrome. You start growing and outgrowing your environment, people want to chop you down. They don't elevate you. I feel here, everyone elevates you. Everyone champions you. Oh, this person, you're good at it, I'll open that door for you. I'll arrange that meeting for you. So that's one element. I like the weather. The sun makes me feel better, getting that vitamin D hit in the morning. People here are a lot more health conscious. There's a big wellness arm here. So I thought, let's see how I go. Didn't come out here with a job. I run my own businesses, so there was absolutely an element of risk. My younger self 10 years ago would have said, what are you doing? You're working with the best athletes on the planet. Your network in London is incredible. Working with the biggest and best people. But I always believe there's something more, and I took a massive risk. Early on.
How did that affect what you was doing in London?
It definitely impacted it. I certainly took an initial loss from a financial point of view to then look at the bigger picture. I truly believe on a macro level, I back myself, not just a micro here and now. How does this impact me now?
It did affect your
short
revenue.
Term. In the short term, absolutely. A lot of our businesses are now online businesses, which is great. I think the benefit of the post-COVID times is people are a lot more receptive to doing things in the digital space. I do still believe in the human element, but we built businesses that are global, that can be, we've got clients in India, we've got clients in Colombia. It blows my mind. So we pivoted, based on.
But what was that short term? When I'm just putting myself as if I was on one of your courses, training with you day to day, and I had access to you, and I was seeing you every other day, and then you was like, oh,
I'm off.
I'm going to Dubai.
So
how would a top end athlete take that?
So I was only doing it with the athletes at the time. So I haven't coached a kind of, let's say a normal person.
But an
until
athlete,
pre-COVID, non-athletes. So it was only the athletes I was working with. So we still had all these online businesses.
Gotcha.
So it was almost like, well, why would I not do that somewhere where I feel I can grow? I believe what I offer is far superior to anyone else out here in Dubai. I think the standard coaching here is terrible, if I'm being brutally honest.
Okay.
And what we do is complete health and performance optimization, like blood work, DEXA scans, RMR, is for, people who are looking to really get ahead. So, I thought I backed myself. So yeah, it was an initial pullback in terms of financials, but then, I've made the right decision without doubt. And then it leads me to now going back into camp with the likes of Conor Benn. It had to take an irresistible offer from Conor, and also the fact that I went away from pro sport and I realised I missed it, Reece. I'll be honest with you. Like, the main reason I'm getting back in with Conor, look, there's financial benefits, there's
How long have you been away from it for?
Well,
using Conor's last camp,
I was,
right?
I was, and that was my first time back in it. So it would have been about 9 to 12 months of moving away from it, and I realised I missed it. I kind of coach them online and stuff, but it's not the same. Being immersed with an athlete who truly cares. The big thing for me is the fulfillment piece of this kind of intrinsic drive of why I do what I do.
Yeah.
And when I'm immersed in training camp with Conor, knowing that Conor places such value on me, as does Nigel, as does Tony, as does the rest of the team, that's a great feeling because I feel wanted, I feel valued, and I know I can make a change and make an impact. So that for me is the biggest driver as to why I'm going back in. And look, there's a cost benefit of me going back into camp with Conor. The fight was meant to be September the 20th. Brilliant. I would have been out of Dubai in those warmer months of July and August. And now it's been moved. And now I'm having to leave Dubai, on September the 14th, at the time when everyone's coming back to Dubai. There's a cost there relationship-wise as well. But look, I've committed to it. I'm excited for it. As soon as I'm there, it's go time. Yeah.
And going back to when you moved out in opportunity, like somebody will introduce you to somebody else, growth mindset in Dubai. Do you think that your business has grown from being in Dubai?
Yeah, great question. I think I need to be here for longer, Reece. That's why I was really quite annoyed by that fight not happening at the start date, because if I was here middle of September, that was my real dial-in focus time to showcase what I really can do here.
Yeah.
I'm having great conversations with some huge corporate organisations, massive hotels about building some things with them.
Okay.
But then I'm off again, and I can't keep penetrating. I'm losing the momentum. So that's the problem, and that's me being very honest and open. I need to be here. So look, I am excited post-camp when Conor gets his arm raised, because that's the main thing. Post-camp to be back in Dubai, for a long 6-7 month block before June. I go to Portugal with the Premier League footballers for the off-season camp. So that's what I'm excited for. But
Let's talk about what you do different, because we've all heard of. The eat chicken and broccoli and train 6 times a week, go to the gym, get a personal trainer. We've all been there, including myself, just don't get the results that you're looking for. What is it that you do differently to make sure that results do happen?
I think there's a deeper psychological component. It's not just someone booking in with a personal trainer and you feel like you're just going around in circles, you're never getting anywhere. You think you're doing that hour, let's just say twice a week, maybe 3 times a week with a coach. But what about all the other times? What about everything else? I've said my 4 pillars: training, nutrition, recovery, and mindset. Mindset, the 4th one, is the glue that hold the other 3 together. Because unless you're consistent, unless you have a system in place that works for you, you're not going to succeed. So we look at behavioural change. We look at setting your environment up for success. We try and get some small wins early on. Start where you stand. We've got to identify where each client, whether a CEO, I'll go with the kind of C-suites now, not the athletes. I'll kind of separate the two, because the athletes are going to do it anyway. They're super relentless, right? But the CEOs, depending on where they're at on the scale, some of them are already, bought into health and wellness. The wheels are in motion. Some might be earlier on in the journey and trying to break inertia. So we identify where they are. And then we get some small wins, some simple systems in place, covering those 4 pillars. And that might start with getting clarity with the goal. What does success look like longer term? We use data. I've mentioned a couple of the tests that we do in both London and Dubai, comprehensive data. And we say, like in business, what gets measured gets managed. You know your P&L. You know everything about your business number-wise. Do we know that about our health? Well, that's what we add.
That's what you do.
And then we build clear systems and goals and targets of saying, this is 6 months, this is 12 months, this is what it looks like. And then we reverse engineer further. We say, right, 30-day accelerator strategy. What are we looking to achieve over the next 30 days? Then we go even further of how to win the day. We call them daily non-negotiables. 3 to 5 things you can do every single day that's going to get you closer to the longer term goal. Because we know, based on James Clare and Sir Dave Brailsford's research, 1% better every day, yields a 37x improvement over the course of a calendar year. You can quite literally change your life, and we've seen it within 12 months if you make a change. And the problem is people want to go from level 1 to level 10 right away. We see this in January, Reece. New year, new me. I'm ready to go. I'm going to make the change. And listen, I love that. I champion, the intention. But unfortunately, the execution is always suboptimal. Come Feb, maybe March, they've fallen off again because they want to go, to your question, they want to go from 0 to hero too quickly. They want to go from 0 sessions, 5-6 sessions a week. It's completely unsustainable and it cannot fit into your life. So this is where we meet clients where they're at. We say, right, okay, you're going once a week at the moment. Can we increase that to 2 or can we increase that to 3? What does that look like? Does it look like 90-minute sessions? Absolutely not. Maybe 45 minutes. But what can you commit to? What's your minimum commitment to me? And then we can build a plan on the basis of that. But then we look at daily actions, and they might be 10,000 steps a day, an arbitrary number, but adhering to the NEAT principle, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, it builds up over time. 2 litres of water. If you're having fizzy drinks, maybe remove those. If you have, little things that you can do. And then they're the non-negotiables. And then you see huge change over time. So it is a real systemized approach. We look at the kind of foundational level, then we have build, and then we have optimize as our 3 phases.
Let's drill down on the data that you use, because obviously it's hard to track data or if you don't know what you're tracking. Exactly. So what I'm not asking you to give away all of your gems, but what I want to drill down on is what should people be tracking? Maybe not people that are on your coaching plan, but if you are just, somebody that goes to the gym, you're not getting the results that you want. What quick wins can they do? I know we've got the non-negotiables, which we spoke about, which are the quick wins, but what could they be tracking? What could they go and get to track something that you think would be beneficial for them?
I think step 1, have a goal. Get clarity with the goal. Step 2, go with the non-negotiables. And then step 3 in terms of the tracking, because we want to look at the more kind of objective-led approach, don't we? Not just subjective of how I'm feeling. So, whether you want to get a Whoop, whether you want to get an Apple Watch, you've got to have some basic understanding. So let's say most people come to me, they'll want to reduce body fat in some capacity, okay? Yeah. So knowing that, we've got to take a step back and say, well, how many calories do I burn on a daily basis? And that's called RMR, resting metabolic rate, which is different for everyone, okay? And you can do a basic test on this. And then once you have that number, you can then look at training expenditure. So if you're using a Whoop or an Apple Watch, you might go and do a 400 calorie workout, add that to that number. You can then look at your movement and a couple of other things, and then that's your going out. That's what you've got from an expenditure point of view. Okay. And then you can start factoring in your nutrition on the basis of that. But even if you didn't want to track all of that, quite simply, weigh yourself each morning and see whether your nutrition plan, what you're currently having, whether you're tracking or not, is aligned towards your goal. Of course, with scale weight, there's going to be fluctuations. If you go out and have dinner and you have a high carbohydrate meal, that's going to pull water into the muscle. That's a problem, because that's going to then reflect the next day, and you're going to think, oh, what have I done? It's just water weight. Yeah. So having some form of tracking, you must have. Do you need to go DEXA scans? But of course not. You can absolutely track that yourself by looking at scale weight and then looking at what you're putting into the body. The fundamental driver to fat loss is to be in a caloric deficit. But if you don't know what you're expending each day or what you're consuming each day, that's where it can be a little bit. And just
to break that down, when you're saying in a deficit, you should be putting less calories into your body than what you're burning.
You're spot on, exactly that. And look, on that, we don't want to be in 1,000, 1,200 calorie deficit.
And is it just as simple as that?
There's more to it, again, around the psychological side.
But if you are in a calorie deficit,
then you should over time lose fat. Absolutely. But then we tend to stick with 500 calories. You don't, and people would say, oh, well, look, if he's told me I'm going to be in this, I'm going to double it. I'm going to do 1,000 calorie deficit, which will be problematic, because then cognition, performance in the gym, and mood, irritability, everything then starts becoming impacted. And also lean tissue. I used a term earlier, RMR, resting metabolic rate. The more lean tissue you have, this is why we weight train, we strength train, we believe in it for so many reasons, from a hormonal but a muscle tissue point of view as well. That will start elevating your RMR. So the more muscle you have, the more efficient you are at burning fat.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's really important. So if you go so low with the calories, it starts going into this catabolic state, and you start atrophying and eating into your tissue.
And what about these diets that you see online? Atkins. There's loads of different. The carnivore.
Yeah.
What's your take on them?
I think, look, we've got to go with the human first element, is identify where the individual is at. There is no one size fits all approach. You know, some of those might work for some people, like ketogenic diet and stuff. You know, I've played around with intermittent fasting, restrictive eating, 16-8 protocols where you'd fast for 16 hours and then eat within an 8-hour window. But fundamentally, the main driver is a caloric deficit. That's what they're doing. What's intermittent fasting doing? It's giving you a restricted eating window, so your consumption of calories is lower than what it would be if you were eating just throughout the course of the day, right? So it gives people a bit of structure. So now we can merge the physiological with the psychological. A 16-8 protocol, from a psychological point of view, it gives you a framework. You're a systems guy, right? As am I. It gives you okay, I know I'm cutting off at 7 p.m. I know I can't, as my maths, I know I can't eat until, I don't know, midday the next day or whatever it works out to be.
Yeah.
So that's a system, that's a structure. That works for people. You know, I'm not saying it's right for everyone because again, like if the key with intermittent fasting is to ensure that you're getting a high level of protein. You know, protein aids muscle protein synthesis, the regeneration of tissue. If you're in the gym, you're creating micro tears in the tissue. You've got to increase your protein intake because it'll help recovery. But also from a fat loss point of view, it improves satiety, the feeling of fullness for longer. So protein is an essential macronutrient if you are looking to shred a bit of body fat. The World Health Organization, Reece, recommended allowance of protein is ludicrously low, 0.8 grams per kilo of body weight. So for context, 100 kilo male, that's 80 grams of protein a day.
That's what they should be eating.
That's what they recommend.
That's what they recommend.
We recommend, under the guidance of Dr. James Morgan, PhD, anywhere between 2 to 2.4 grams per kilo of body weight. So same 100 kilo male, that's a couple of hundred grams of protein. It's like a lot higher, which will really help. So if you can, again, if someone's starting their journey and this is a little bit much for them, just think about potentially reducing your carbohydrates, trying to increase your protein intake, trying to drink a bit more water and trying to move more. Super simple. You do that not for a week, not for 30 days. Do that for 90 days and you will see a difference.
Do you think that social media, I've had this conversation, there's pluses and minuses to social media, but do you think that people that are trying to lose weight or goal is to lose weight, that they want to see instant results? Like as you said, don't do it for 30 days, 60 days. You're saying drink water, drop carbs, eat more protein, move more. They go and do them 4 things and they expect to get on the scales. I've been there and see results every week. You don't see results every week. You get disheartened, despondent, and you think, really, does it work?
Yeah. So the Global Health Institute's the Global Health Institute's health and wellness valuation in 2023 was $6.3 trillion. Okay, I'll start with that. Why is that important? Because everyone is now jumping on this wellness, fitness, performance thing to make money. Okay, which fine from a business point of view. The problem with that is people are now creating these things where they say you can get instantaneous success. And people aren't prepared to do the work because we all want it. We all want it quicker. Of course we do. If I can get something without doing much work, I'm going to do it. Everyone will. What's the most valuable asset? Time. So if you can claw time back without doing the work, I understand that. But that's also a problem. And you reference social media, both a blessing and a curse. Use it for inspiration, motivation. But unfortunately, it's for me, it's such a negative because you'll see, certainly these days, the Photoshop and everything that people use, it's ridiculous for young children growing up. So to your point, I think people just need to, adhere to it and be consistent over a longer time horizon. I think they need to be around the right people, experts in that area to help them. It's all well and good me giving people these kind of little tips here. Someone might be a little bit further on in their journey and might need a little bit more, and absolutely fine. But I think, you just got to be really smart with what you immerse yourself with and what you absorb, because social media for me it's really bad, and certainly these days.
Is there a lot on the internet where you can learn about these things?
There is, but people aren't prepared to do the work and learn. There's lots on YouTube, but again, how would they get through the crap? How would they get through the fog to find what they need? And what I mean by that is that because of the growth of the wellness industry, there's so much crap out there. There's people jumping on it, people changing their careers, which, I'm a fair play if you're
people coming into the right this arena.
Yeah, because they've seen that it's worth the money that I've said that it's worth. So they think they can make money. But that's the problem as well, because they don't actually, some of them might, but generally speaking, they probably don't actually care about helping people. So this is why I think the cream always rises. Why I suppose I've withstood the test of time and why I've never sold out.
Yeah.
I could have made a lot more money a long time ago if I'd have partnered and positioned myself with certain brands that were doing things misaligned with my values.
Okay.
Mine is to stay true to myself, be professional. Integrity is at the forefront of what I do. And, if it takes me a little bit longer to get where I need to go, at least I'll stay true to my core values.
I think as well, the problem that a lot of people have got, and I put myself in that category of trying to lose weight, is that you want to work with people that are proven, e.g. yourself, for argument's sake. And this is me talking and being real open and honest, which we talk about on this podcast, because it's about giving back. You want to work with a high-performance coach. This is me. I wanted to work with a high-performance coach. I've worked with different coaches, different PTs, got some results, not got some results, got results, flicked between doing okay, losing a bit of weight, putting it back on. And then you look at, well, we've spoke. How do I get to that person? I've seen that they've produced, they're working with elite athletes, they're good at what they do. How do you get in touch with them? I know that social media has made it a little bit easier, but it's still difficult and nerve-wracking to take that step.
Yeah.
How can people get in touch with real coaches? People that, as you said, there's a lot in the industry now that are in it just to take the PT money or whatever it is and give whatever guidance. How do they know that they're working with the right person, or are they getting access to the right person?
It's a great point. So you were initially saying, how do they get in touch? And I was going to say that, how do they even know that this person is the right person, right? And I think, look, following the right people and maybe speaking to a few people who maybe are more well-versed in that area to see whether this person is the right person or not. I think, look, from my side, working with what I've done, this hasn't been like a 6-month thing. This is 20 years, right? Yeah. I've coached over 30 champion athletes across multiple sports. So
there's not many of you.
Yeah, and I live and breathe this, right? You can attest to that. Like I live and breathe what I do. At 37 years old now, I still have my own system, and I truly believe in this. There's no BS. So to find someone, I think, look, social media, going back to the positives of it, you will find someone on there, but I'd probably ask a few people around you as to, what do you reckon on this person? What do you reckon on that person? And then just follow them for a period of time. You don't need to make a knee-jerk decision in reaction. You can see whether you vibe with that person, whether you seem like you've got a value alignment with that person. And to your point as well, Reece, like, I agree. Like, from my side, certainly my social media page, it probably does look a little bit elitist. It does look for someone to send that message, I think it's really challenging.
Yeah.
I've actually struggled. So going back to the business question as well, I've really struggled because my whole business has been built on the oversubscribed model of being elite, of being, one of the best at what I do in the high performance space. But actually, we have a business that, yes, is for top level executives that has access to me. We also have Built by Perform 365, which is a lower cost, bespoke programming, bespoke nutrition, run by my team. And I've struggled to really shout about that, if I'm being brutally honest, because I felt like it dilutes what I'm all about. So that's me being real and raw with you. So to your other part of the question of, like, where do they find them? I think they've just got to resonate with people on social media, ask those around them who might be a bit more well-versed in that area.
You have built a program out for people.
Absolutely.
That want to be with you but don't feel like they're at that.
Absolutely, yeah. So Built by Perform 365, without this being a sales pitch, look, it's a world-class program. They don't get one-on-one access to me, okay? They do in a WhatsApp group with our community. We've got loads of people all over the world. And like we say, environment dictates outcomes. We've got boxers in there. We've got people who are doing Ironmen in there. We've got people earlier on in their journey. We've got big business people in there. And it's great. Everyone's championing and elevating each other. And, we check in every Monday. We check in every Friday. They do a check-in with a coach at the end of each week. We do weekly check-ins. Yeah. I do all the programming. So that's the key. So they still have access.
You still are working on it.
It's incredible, yeah.
So if people want to get involved with that or they're interested, they just reach out to you?
Yeah, feel free. Yeah, exactly. It's 3ws.perform365.life, but send me a message on Instagram.
Yeah, we'll put a link on for viewers that are listening as an intro as well, because obviously it is, you do struggle to make that commitment and to take that jump. Let's talk. We touched on the data, but let's talk on metrics. You spoke about what you do in your program about data. We're talking about bloods, bone density. Talk us through why you think that's so important.
I think it's important as there's been a huge shift of late. Like, you look at some of the biggest CEOs on the planet and they've all bought into their health and well-being. Yeah. It's really, for me, it makes sense, right? You crush it in business, but in terms of cognition and performance, it makes sense to be fueled properly, to drink perfectly timed, drink lots of water and be hydrated, to sleep well. Like, we've all had it, right? If you've had a couple of glasses of wine, poor night's sleep, terrible nutrition, you go into the meeting, like, are you really at 100%? You're not.
No.
So we're trying to really just optimize across the board. So yeah, people are really buying into these methods now because it's all about longevity. We've got data to showcase. If you do this and we get you to here, we will, I'm sorry to sound morbid, reduce the likelihood of mortality. That's how important it is. So our tests are, like you said, a DEXA scan, which is the gold standard test of body composition, looking at bone mineral density, lean tissue, plus loads of other metrics. It can even give stuff like if you've had ACL reconstruction on your left leg 10 years ago, you've probably got a bit of muscle wastage on that side. So we then take that information and build the program off the basis of that. We then use VO2 max, and the VO2 max is the gold standard test of the cardiorespiratory system. Super, super important, either done on a bike or a treadmill. And this is the one where we can say, based on the data, lots of great research by Dr. Peter Attia, that we can help you live for longer if we get you out of these lower levels of percentiles and then up the chart.
Yeah.
We also do strength diagnostics, we do comprehensive blood work, because again, like, we've got to know what's going on under the bonnet. It's all well and good me writing a program for you, but you know, what's going on inside? Like, are your iron levels good? How is your testosterone, your free testosterone, your blood lipid profile, your LDLs? Like, we don't know unless we monitor. And then we can advise around supplementation around that. And we get some quick wins early on because people might be really deficient in iron. We increase that into the diet or vitamin D or whatever it is. And already, like, within a couple of weeks, they're starting to feel better. So that's why we do it. We follow an objective-led approach, but also helps us with the goal setting process. Because again, these high-level executives, they need to know what's going on. Otherwise, as soon as they hit a hump in the road, they'll fall off. So if they know that they've got clear goals, we throw numbers and attach numbers to their goals. We have a bit of a gamification element. We make it fun and enjoyable for them, but still work hard. And maybe have reward mechanisms at each time of when they achieve these things. Like, all of these things really do help.
So you basically translated high performance into a corporate setting.
Yeah, exactly that. We've taken the principles from pro sport, where every detail and every margin is so important, and we brought that into the boardroom. And we've curated an experience, like you say, in the corporate setting that will enable people to get to where they need to go. Because it really is that important. High performance does not need to be reserved for a boxer, boxing in front of 60,000 people at Tottenham Stadium on November the 15th, Conor Ben, or a footballer crossing the white line at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. This is high performance. Like, cognition, sleep, all of these things play a role, whether you're looking to close a deal. So you've just got to bring your best self to that meeting or conversation.
And how do you ensure that your clients are maintaining that focus?
Yeah, so again, with the goals and the markers that we have in place, it's pretty clear if they've fallen off track. We have daily comms with our clients to ensure that they're held accountable, and we're at hand to give them any guidance that they need.
Yeah, so it's all about accountability
big time.
as well for the person that's engaging with yourself.
Because these are high performers already, some of them, right? So they know that if they are signing up with us, they're doing it for a reason, because they want to unlock the next level. So they're going to do it. They're going to be accountable, and
Just a bit of a random question. Do you think people are born into having that commitment, or do you think you can change if you haven't got that commitment, that goal-driven growth mindset? Do you think you can change that?
Yeah, I do. I believe, again, environment dictates outcomes.
Yeah.
You lay down with dogs, you come up with fleas. I'll never forget that from Tony Robbins. And like, if all your mates are going down the pub, there's 5 of you, and all your mates are going down the pub, then you're going to be the next one to do that, because that's your environment. Equally, if all of your friends are playing paddle, they're active, they're going for runs, the likelihood of you doing that is substantially higher. So I do believe that if you can immerse yourself in an environment where others are slightly ahead of you or aligned with the goal that you want, so let's just call it health and wellness for now, then try and, latch on to those people. Try and be in that environment, because that over time will start changing your views. It will start changing the way you do things, and it will start breaking inertia and get the wheels turned into where you need to go. I'll be honest, even as a high performance coach for 20 years, right, I did not used to like running. Yeah. I used to keep saying, I hate running. I had to check myself and say, what am I doing? Why am I saying this? Because, thoughts become things. And if I'm verbalizing and vocalizing it, that's even deeper. Yeah. So I removed that talk. And then I said, right, how do I get into running? because I didn't like running at the time. My friend used to pick me up, drive us to Richmond Park, so there's no friction there.
Yeah.
We used to run together. He's growth minded. He works in finance. We always used to have good conversations. Started with 5K, then 7, then 8, then whatever. At the end of the run, we had a reward mechanism. So we had a cup of coffee, chilled for a little bit, and then he'd take me home. No friction. That's very different to me saying, right, I'm going to run 6 a.m. in the morning, grey and rainy outside in London. That's not set up for success. You're not going to want to, are you? Right, exactly. So then as soon as I broke inertia, I then okay, I'm getting into this. Then you start seeing a benefit. And this is the key part to your question. I then start drawing motivation from that because things start changing. I become fitter. The 5K that I was blowing is now becoming a lot easier. Now it's 10K and now I'm feeling good. My legs are feeling good, whereas before my calves were in pieces after a 5K because I wasn't used to putting that amount of force into the ground for that period of time. And that's what you draw strength from. And then you can set new goals. So that's what I'd say, going to someone who maybe is in an environment that isn't conducive to where they need to go. Start looking at those around you. I'm not saying completely disregard your friends, but start seeing, okay, is this aligned or misaligned to what I really do want to do? Because you are a product of your environment.
Just touching on that, talking about your legs hurting when you first start. At that high end, how do you mitigate injury risk?
Yeah, start where you stand. So this is the whole level 0 to level 10, right? You can't see this huge acute spike in training lows. This is going back to January, 0 to hero too quickly, right? Is if you're not training, don't go to 5 days a week.
Yeah. Okay.
If you're not training, maybe I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to do 3 sessions a week, 2 of which are weight training and 1 of which is some form of cardio. And it doesn't mean I'm going to go and do a 20K run. It might mean I'm going to do a bit of a fartlek style interval session, which is no set structure, no set, okay, you've got to do a minute on, minute off. You don't need that right now. You just need to master the art of showing up.
Yeah.
And then you get on the treadmill, you might go up for a minute, you might go down for 30, you might go up for 35, whatever. But then you do that for 4 weeks. That's your first 4-week phase. Those 2 weight sessions and 1 cardio session that you're in control of, that you might do up to 5K max, bit of walking involved, right?
Yeah.
Do that for 4 weeks. Think, I'm feeling good here. I'm feeling like I've got more energy. I'm looking at my heart rate on my Apple Watch or Whoop. I'm seeing that it's taking longer to go up and it's coming down quicker.
Okay.
I'm actually seeing some change here with objective data, which is key. Then you say, right, that's my first 30 days. Now let's look at the next 30 days. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stick with 2 weights, but I actually quite enjoyed the running. I'm going to do another one of those. So now I'm on 4 sessions.
Yeah.
And then you just incremental increases that way. So that can be from a frequency point of view of how many sessions you do.
Yeah.
It could be from a volume point of view. So in the gym, you might be doing 2 sets initially. Now I'm going to do a 3rd set. So you've just got to see these small changes and understand the whole stress picture. So this is the key part. It's all stress.
Yeah.
Training stress, life stress, relationship stress, business stress, everything else. So having a good night's sleep will help reduce stress.
Yeah.
Eating proper nutrition will help reduce stress. And then training, now let's stick with training. Training stress is not created equal. So part of our system at Perform 365 is like a traffic light. So green is like your low day. You might jump on the bike for 40 minutes, 130, 140, maybe up to 150 BPM heart rate. Pretty easy, right? A red day might be your tough, high-intensity session. It might be a much longer run, like a half marathon, or like heavy strength work. You can see the training stress on both of those is actually very different.
Yeah.
So if you're looking like a stress bucket and everything goes into this, the first one, it might only fill it up to there. But the next one, it might fill it up to there.
Yeah.
So we've got to be really quite mindful of not every day is created equal, and just be careful of how much stress you put on your body.
And you've got to keep moving it around. Stress in terms of, I understand that bit. What about, I think it's about feeling when you're starting out, and I'm speaking from experience, what is actually an injury and what is just soreness?
Yeah.
How do you gauge that? That's a tough one.
Great question. And
for
I think
people
for
that
many,
start just doing weights. You go down the gym. You've got that. So let's go to what you said. You're around your mates that all want to start going to the gym. You all start going together. Some have been there longer than others. Yeah. But you're training, your days, you're doing 2-3 days a week, but you wake up and you feel like you've pulled something. How do you actually know the difference?
Yeah. Great question. So, because this is key, right? If you haven't done anything and you're starting, this is the most important time. So I like the fact you're in an environment, train with the boys. Firstly, great. Yeah. But don't do the same program as John. Because John's got 10 years training experience and John's got body fat of 10%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just be mindful of that.
Of who you're working
who you're doing it with. So great that they're a bit ahead of you, but do the same program as John, but maybe just do lower weight.
The same weight.
There you go. Lower weight, less volume, but you're still training with your mate, because that's important. We said about the environment. John's there. He's on his journey. He's ahead of you. So go with John, because John's saying, Reece, you've got to be at the gym at 9 o'clock. Right, we're going to meet at the gym. We're going to have a coffee and we're going to get after it. Yeah, brilliant. So he's a key part.
That's a good bit.
It's a good part of it.
But then when he's picking up big dumbbells and you're trying to do the same.
That's where the ego needs to be removed, and you just build yourself into it. So to your question regarding DOMS and injury. So DOMS is delayed onset muscle soreness. I think anyone going from, sitting on a couch to training, you're going to get DOMS early on, okay? But again, it means that if you go into the gym, you might do a goblet squat, you might do a push-up, and you might do a shoulder strengthening exercise. Don't do 5 sets. Start with 2. Then maybe have a rest. Then you do another series. This time you might do a deadlift variation, so like a hinge exercise. You might do a pulling pattern to help improve your posture. And you might do a core exercise, 2 sets. See how your body responds. So that's the first time you've done it. How do you feel 24, 48 hours later? If you feel a little bit of awareness, which you will, I've probably got the volume right. Then you go again, you do the same thing. And this is the first 4-week block. Remember the 30-day strategy. And just keep dosing yourself that way. If you go in the first time and you do same thing, but you do 4 sets and 4 sets, and then you're fucked for 3 days, what are you going to then do? You're going to anchor a negative thought process towards the gym. This is the deep psychological behavioural change element we talk about. And then you're just going to put 2 fingers up at the whole journey. I can't do anything. I can't get up off the toilet. I can't live my life. I'm going into a meeting hobbling. It's a nightmare. I'm not a gym guy. I can't do it. And this is the problem. Again, the intention was pure. It was correct. But you overcooked it, and now you've messed up the longer term journey. We've got to be a macro, not a micro level thinker. How can this session impact the next? That's what you've got to be thinking about, the dominoes. So just start small. Build gradually, see how your body responds and feels, and go from there. And of course, if you do have something that you're like, no, that's not DOMS.
Doesn't feel right,
I've got an acute issue on one side, maybe go and see a specialist in that area. If it's global and general, just got this soreness, it's probably just fatigue, and well done, because you've trained hard.
Good. Great takeaway there. I mean, as you said, it's about ego. If you're training with other people, just remember that you're on your own journey, not what other people are doing. It's about you. Can
I say something on that?
Of course.
I've been there, mate. I've had spinal surgery 13 years ago. Because of ego lifting.
Okay.
I put too heavy a weight on my back. I did some deadlifts. I've been managing my lower back since, and it's something that I learned from. So, look, we're all there. We get in the gym, hormonal response, testosterone starts increasing. You think, come on, let's go. Just be smart with it.
Just do what you need to, and don't take that the wrong way. Do what you need to do as least as possible. But what you're saying is do what you need to do, but think about the next days.
Exactly, the bigger picture.
Okay. You've explained that you're hands-on, right involved in training camps, attention to detail. What small impacts does little things make when you've got such attention to detail? Does that make sense?
So
the question is, you're all in, on what you do. You've openly said that. Attention to detail means that you are on everything. So like on a training camp, you're the first in, you're the last out. What is it that you change from start to finish? What's the most littlest thing that you put your finger on?
So we focus on, again, those 4 pillars, the big wins, but there's so much more to it than that. Certainly at the highest level, with an athlete, let's use Connor as an example, because I've just done training camp with him, and we're just about to go into another one. I know my athlete. I know what gets them going. I know sometimes even how they're thinking, and Connor will attest to this. And when you know that, you've got to look at the bigger picture and how this impacts that again. And if I can remove friction, the thought process, the cognition that he's having to go through to make certain decisions, I'll do that thing.
So you'll remove them for him?
Absolutely, because it needs to be that he's solely focusing on the fight. And
Give us an example.
Yeah, some people won't understand this. I said this on another podcast, and it's about the mirrors in the changing room.
Okay.
We found out on the fight day for Eubank 1 that there were no mirrors in the changing room. We explicitly said we've got to have mirrors in the changing room. Like, that was part of the non-negotiable, because every single day for 12 weeks, twice a day, Conor has been drilling, prepping, moving in front of a mirror. You know, it's how he gets in the zone. He likes to see himself, which, you know, makes sense for a boxer, right? Maybe a footballer doesn't really make sense. And it was at Tottenham, so there weren't any mirrors. And we found that out. Thankfully, someone managed to source some mirrors. And I had a load of people on social media, God, this is the negative of social media, saying, yeah, but he still lost. Well, the mirrors didn't do anything. And it's like, you're kind of missing the point. Because my role is to physically and mentally prepare the athlete as good as I can in preparation for the biggest night of their life. And if I believe something is going to help him or hinder him, I'm going to take control of that thing. And the outcome is, this is the narrow-minded nature of social media, the outcome is unimportant in that stage, because I know my athlete, it will impact him if that wasn't taken care of. So that would be one example. And, you know, on fight day, we have everything lined up, from the mobility exercises, from all of the kit, ensuring that everything's there, from the mirrors, ensuring they're there, from the music, from when Conor has his caffeine. Like, all of these details do matter. But that's on fight night. Even throughout the course of the camp, we have to ensure that everyone is, you know, up on time, everyone is ready to go.
And is this all your responsibility?
I think the team as one unit need to together.
But do you lead them? Do you
we'll lead the standards.
The timings of getting up, going to bed, what you're eating.
Yeah.
Are they all in your control?
I'll control the nutritional elements. I'll control the bedtime, though at times, you know, like,
it's hard to do.
Conor's not a five-year-old kid, right? He's his own man. So, but we explain, and it's knowing when to push and pull. It's the art of negotiation, right? Chris Voss, the FBI negotiator, never split the difference. That's the key. Is I don't go in with someone like Conor, like a bull in a china shop, and be like, you got to do this. The reaction I'm going to get is going to be that. He's going to come right back at me. So it might be like, look, Con, I reckon, look, tomorrow's a big day. We're going to hit some big numbers, right? I reckon it's time. He's like, yeah, you're probably right. Cool. So it's just, again, it's how you communicate. It's the art. For me, it's the art of communication and negotiation. That's the key.
Where did you learn that?
I think this is where the studying came in. You know, it really is.
So you taught yourself how to negotiate?
Absolutely, yeah. And
you don't think it was something that you was born into?
No.
Because me, negotiating, I think I was born with it.
Seriously, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I've not read a book on negotiating.
Yeah.
I've negotiated some big deals in real estate. I've taught I've never read a book on how to negotiate. I've watched people.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting that you taught yourself that.
Do you feel like your skills have improved over the last 20 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's refinement of skill.
But because of doing.
Doing, exactly.
Yeah, so it's not looking at how other people do it, just on what I've learned from the last deal that I didn't get where I wanted to.
Spot on. Growth mindset again. Yeah. It's not all in a book, is it? Like, a book is one element. Book, audio book, podcast. I'm learning now. I'm going to learn from this conversation. And for me, everyone, it's different in terms of how they'd absorb information. But we know, as I said earlier, neuroplasticity, the brain can change. And because we're growth-minded individuals, Reece, you've learned from those moments and now refine the skill of when you walk in, you dominate.
It's good to see that you've taught yourself that.
I definitely think I have. Listen,
negotiating, because I've had the experience of talking to Conor, so I can understand what you're saying with the negotiation.
Yeah.
I think it's time now, instead of just saying, come on, we're doing it.
Yeah, we're doing this. It's my way or the highway.
Different
outcome.
Yeah.
Because we're outcome orientated, right? And there's different roads that can get you to where you need to go. So it's knowing your athlete. And this is, I suppose, my strength as a practitioner, head of performance, whatever we like to call it, is that I'm not just the sets and reps guy in the gym. It's so much deeper than that. It's so much more than that. It's ensuring that everyone is to the level. It's ensuring the standards are high. It's ensuring that the athlete is not just physically, but also psychologically and mentally prepared for that moment. So, yeah.
What three things, Dan, do you think that you can take away from what you do and put into business? What's the three main things, three takeaways that you preach and action every day with high performance? Three traits.
Okay, so 3 traits that I've seen from the best performing athletes on the planet and some of the biggest CEOs are resilience, single-minded focus, and being relentless. So resilience is key, not just for an athlete when they take a loss. Conor lost his last fight. He's got to be resilient in that. And now we've got to overcome that. It's how do we overcome humps in the road? Do we, as soon as we hit a hump, do we crumble? Or do we say, I'm going to reflect on that moment. I'm going to see what I did well. I'm going to absolutely see what I could have done better. I'm going to review. And then I'm going to plan ahead to how I improve next time. Whether that's changing the team, whether that's looking at yourself, whether that's could I have done better? Could I have worked harder? Should I have invested in this modality for recovery? Whatever it looks like. We've then got to go again. So being resilient to a setback is so key. And we see it in business, like how many deals have you done, but how many deals have you not done? You know, there's certainly I've lost many. So you've got to just keep going. And it's like the Michael Jordan, The Last Dance. And though I think he probably should have sat, not that I'm to tell anyone about Michael Jordan, he's the GOAT, but should have sat with the moment a little bit longer and said, wow, look what I've achieved. But he literally achieve, what now? Achieve, what now? Which is a key trait of a high performer for sure. Another one is single-minded focus. Jimmy Iovine talks about this in the Defiant ones when they sold Beats to Apple for $3 billion or whatever it was. Be like a racehorse. The reason racehorses wear blinkers is so they don't miss a step. Boom, they're dialed in, single-minded in that goal. Got to have a goal, got to be clear. Very easy for athletes to have a goal. Fight night, we know exactly what it is. Anything else is just noise. Dial in towards that specific goal. And then being relentless. You've got to be relentless to the goal. Again, you've got to know where you're going first and foremost. If one doesn't know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favourable. You're just treading water. You're just going around in circles. So know where you're going. That's key. That's the outcome. But then we don't ever think about the outcome again. We reverse engineer and focus on the process, the daily actions that get you closer there, like building a wall. The goal, the outcome is to build the wall. But you never think about it. You just lay brick by brick by brick. And before you know it, you've got closer to your goal. So that's where daily action and process-orientated goal setting is so important. How can I just win the day? How can I focus on winning this day? We did it with a footballer who's now at Leeds. He was an England international striker. And he came away from his club at the time. We had a 4-week immersive block with him. He was 12 to 13 weeks out from return to play. Quite a long time, okay? I wasn't then thinking or saying, oh yeah, you're going to be back playing for your team and England and scoring goals. That's unattainable in that moment. That's almost demoralising for him because he's so far away from that. So in the 4 weeks we had, we broke it down into week 1, he was just with my head of medical, doing lots of soft tissue work, breaking down the edema. If he was in a good position and then he handed over to me, week 2, he was in the gym, doing strengthening work to get some strength through that tissue again. If he achieved that, week 3, he's on the pitch. No ball, but he's on the pitch. He's doing some linear work and seeing how he moves. If he achieves that, week 4, this is the carrot I dangled, you're back with the ball on the pitch. We got him back like a lot quicker than we'd even anticipated. And we just focused on one thing, WTD, win the day. That's all we cared about. What does winning the day look like? And that's kind of like the non-negotiables. And then we focus on that. So we didn't focus on the outcome. We didn't focus on 12 weeks scoring again. We focus on how can I just focus on the day? If I know and I'm going to nail this day, I know I'm getting closer to the goal. And this is where so many people go wrong in their journeys. They overcomplicate it. They focus on too many different things. It becomes incredibly overwhelming. Just focus on 3 to 5 things you can do every day. And don't do it for a week. Don't do it for 30 days. Do it for 60, 90 days. Even a year, and you will change your life. Great
bit of information, and that's across the board. You know, it's about focusing on, and I know if you're a multiple business owner and you're running multiple businesses, you know you're gonna feel how you just said, scattergun approach. Loads of things going on. You'd be like, wow, you know, this is intense, and your mind's gonna be elsewhere. You need to focus on 3 or 4 things from each business, and every day. Same as me is what I have to do. If I just wake up and go, well, I'll tell you what, today I'm just gonna deal with everything. It's like, wow, you sit there and you're like, where do I start? If you focus and you know what you're looking at. That's where you need to be.
It becomes so overwhelming, right? You're so reactive. You're like a puppet. You're putting out fires all day.
And then you feel like at the end of the day you've put your head in a washing machine and you come out the other end. It's, you know, literally. Just talking how it is. We spoke about a lot. It's been a great podcast. Really enjoyed the chat. Really enjoyed what we've spoke about. Hopefully, the viewers, the listeners have taken some good stuff away from here. Again, we will put the links in to access Dan and his team. So that would be great for people listening. They might reach out to you. If they do, hopefully they get to work with yourself. One last thing, I know that we've touched on. I think we did just touch on it because you wrapped it up in the last question. Is a piece of advice or information that you'd give to the listeners to take away? What would your one piece of advice be? Just to close the show, what would your one bit of advice that you could give to anybody today if they wanted a piece of advice?
I'll give a quick framework if that's okay.
Yeah.
So step 1, get clear with the goal.
Yeah.
Know what you're trying to achieve. That's key, because otherwise you just don't have a purpose. You don't know where you're going. So that's step 1. Get clear with what success looks like for you.
Yeah.
Step 2 is create an environment that is aligned to that goal. So if all your friends are going to the pub, probably not the best environment if it's a health and performance goal.
Yeah.
That's step 2, change your environment. Step 3 is create simple systems that will enable you to get there. A simple system would be a daily non-negotiable, 3 to 5 things that are going to help you get to that goal. Just start with that and do it for a period of time, a long enough period of time to see change. And step 4 is should have gone with 3. Step 4 is don't give up when it gets hard. Just keep going. Just chip away. We're not chasing perfection. When you hit the hump in the road, going back to resilience, which you will, we all do, myself included, just keep moving forwards. So don't try and do too much too soon. Just keep chipping away. Small wins. We spoke about it recently. It's like, yes, that was the goal, but you've actually done this. So you've made this much improvement already. Well done for that.
Yeah.
And let's keep moving forwards. So I think, that would be like a 4-step framework for anyone to start, irrespective of whether you're a high-level performer or whether you're starting your journey. Those 4 things can really help.
Lovely. Great episode. Great chat. Really appreciate it, Dan. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
It's great.
Cheers, Reece.
Thanks, mate. So that's the end of the podcast, guys. Thanks for listening. And just to add on a bonus part, which we're talking about, me personally, I've committed to Dan's program. We're starting next week. We've spoke the last 3 or 4 days when we've been in Dubai. I bought into the program. I like what Dan's doing. He's going to try and take me to the next level. It's probably one of the toughest tests that Dan's had, and I've been open and honest about that. We've laid our cards on the table. We've recorded this podcast today. We will be recording another one in 6 months and 12 months, and hopefully we can talk about the journey that we've been on together.
Definitely. 2 words there, try and hopefully. We'll get rid of them. We're doing this, man.
Lovely. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Cheers, Dan.